Well, our next session is actually a live chat with the students. So we do have a few students. I know Avery's able to stay for a few more minutes before she goes to her gaming tournament. Maybe you want to tell us more about that, Avery, as we shift. But Jocelyn, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Jennifer, thank you. If you want, you can also stay on. I'm not sure what you have going on tonight. But we do have students, so why don't we can shift over and the students can take this session over. Who's going first? Name, major, where you're from. We can go around the gallery view if that works.
So I guess that starts with me. Once again, I'm Keith Jordan. I'm a senior in Power Engineering Technologies. And I'm also from right outside of Ellsworth, Maine. I think that was the one thing I forgot. So.
Hi, my name is Dean Jerabo. I'm Marine Bio SVO sophomore. I'm from Wilmington, North Carolina.
Okay, I'll go next. Again, for I think the fourth time. My name is Avery O'Neill. I am from Burbank, California. I am a senior in international business and logistics, and any department you have a question on, I probably work for it. So feel free to ask while I'm still here.
Hey, I'm Gloria. I am a junior in the Marine Bio Small Vessel Operations major, also optionally in the regiment, and I'm from over by Bar Harbor.
All right, I can go next. I'm Jenny Strayovi. I'm in Marine Bio SVO, and I'm from Bucksport, Maine.
I'll go next. I'm Emily Conway. I'm a senior in the Vessel Operations and Technology program. I am from Charleston, South Carolina. So I see your question, Kelly. I'll go ahead and answer that unless George wants to introduce himself.
Yep, I didn't realize I was the last one. So hi everyone, I'm George Albert. I'm a senior in Marine Transportation Operations, and I'm from a small town in Virginia. Emily, you can take the question.
So why did I choose MMA? MMA was a pretty unique fit for me. They offered both really hands-on learning, good job placement after my education was through. They offered a bunch of extracurriculars that was really important to me, which included varsity soccer and lots of clubs and stuff to do around campus. But the professors and really the hands-on learning kind of sold it for me here.
Okay, I'll go next for why I chose MMA, I guess. So as I said it multiple times before, my sister went to school here, so I found about the college through her and my now brother-in-law that she also met here. But I play volleyball for the college as well as women's lacrosse. I'm in the International Business and Logistics program, so of course I wanted to go to a highly recommended program that, I mean, honestly, truthfully speaks for itself, and has wonderfully placed me in a awesome career opportunity before I even graduated. And I've been really happy to as well be a part of both the food services and residential life and academic affairs here on campus. So I've met a lot of different friends and people who I consider now family through this academy. So I chose it originally for athletics and academics, but I ended up finding a second home in it.
I can go. I chose Maine Maritime, one, because I'm local, and because I knew that I could get a great degree here and a great hands-on education, like a smaller setting, and not pay thousands upon thousands of dollars extra. So that's the main reason I came here. And I had a lot of friends that came here before me. And it was just nice to be able to come back, hang out with my friends, work and study again. And it was just a nice environment. Like, it's a great area. It's kind of quiet. That's what I really like about it.
I'll go next. I chose this school because my degree was only available through this. So I'm marine bio, but I wanted to be able to do submersibles and like deep sea craft to find my specimens for marine bio. So this was one of the few places I could have gone to do that, as well as the small class sizes. This is a third of the size of my high school. That's fantastic.
Double my high school.
Yeah, about the same with the doubling from MDI. I ended up choosing MMA more for the hands-on aspect of the luring the sun, especially with being right up on the waterfront. I know most of the schools that I was looking at, you'd get maybe your junior year, senior year, but for the most part, it would have been entirely in the classroom. So I wanted to be able to go out and actually experience the field before actually committing to it.
All right, I can
Oh,
Sorry.
go ahead.
interrupt. But similar to everyone else's answers, I'm also fairly local, being in Bucksport, and similar hands-on learning is one of the best ways for me to learn. And so I chose the school also for the academic reputation that it has.
So I chose a school for the hands-on aspect, and that was the big selling point for me. And then the other big reason is the reputation that the school has. It's uncanny of the amount of people that I have met that are alumni from Maine Maritime, and at completely random times too. I've met people while just being in a grocery store, and just because I have an MMA sweatshirt on or a hat. And that, I think, speaks volumes just about the school in general. I mean, there's 1,200 students in the school, and the outreach of me being home in Virginia and the people that I've met there is uncanny, and I love it.
Nice. I had another question for you all. So my name is Elizabeth Allaby, again, just in case you're joining us for this session, and I'm an admissions counselor, not a student, though I wish that I had been. So one thing I wanted to ask was kind of how to dial into life in Castine, because Castine is rural. I won't pretend that it's not. I always say, if you like a campus where there are more trees than people, you will be right at home. So what are sort of some of the things that you do for fun in and around Castine? How do you enjoy being in this type of an area?
So I'll go first, since right after this question, I'll probably have to leave to run the gaming tournament. But I think that this is a pretty big culture shock for me, coming from Burbank, which is basically Los Angeles, to Castine, Maine. So just a little bit of a difference, you know. But it really was kind of a big shock, because I was like, okay, what's there to do? And then there's like one restaurant and like a little store and stuff like that. But really, there's so much more. I mean, I've really fallen in love with hiking, with walking on the back shore, which is like a little beach near towards our school. You can walk towards a lighthouse and just sit there at sunset to watch the water splash on the rocks and the beautiful, like, unobstructed view of the sunset. I mean, there's so much to do around the area. And I mean, even to just enjoy the wildlife, truly. I mean, you can go fishing, you can just honestly go down to the Castine Harbor and just say, hey, can I get on your boat? Like, let's just go sailing, and someone will probably take you. You know, it's super welcoming. It's super just incredibly loving. And it's honestly been really great for my bank account coming from Los Angeles to here. So that's a plus. But other than that, I thought it would be kind of rough for me to kind of acclimate to, but it was pretty easy. It was really fun, really nice, and I've gotten to love the outdoors a lot more than I thought I would.
Nice, and that's saying something coming from California.
Yeah. So with that being said, I have to dip out to run the gaming tournament, but so nice to, I guess, talk to virtually all of you, all my friends and colleagues. I will see you around campus, and with that being said, I will bid you adieu.
Bye, Avery.
Bye, guys.
Whoever else wants to answer, what's their favorite aspect of Castine or campus, or what do you like to do here?
So I'll take the next part since I was here all summer. When school let out, I didn't go home. I stayed in Castine the entire summer. It was a pretty different experience for me coming from another rural area of Virginia to here, but I am landlocked back in Virginia. So this is being close to the water constantly and being able to see what's going on and see the locals is a definitely different aspect of Castine. I got to work with admissions all summer and see that aspect, which I've never seen before being the student ambassador that I am. So it was a good all-around experience for me, at least.
Nice. Thank you. Anybody else?
So I'm kind of from this area, and I came from a place where there was more trees than people to another place that's more trees than people. Now there's just a little more ocean. But just like my advice to people to like enjoy your experience here, to just buy into your environment. Like even if you're coming from somewhere else, find something that you would like to do. Like the best thing that I ever did was I came in and I managed the women's volleyball team. So I had a job on campus, and then I already started out with about a dozen and a half new friends that had already been on campus who already knew my name. And you just start out with a nice group of people. And that's the best way to do it, is just try and make some friends right off the bat and find something that you're interested in.
I definitely agree with Keith on that. Coming from out of state, you don't know anyone coming up here. And the first thing, to do is to get involved. You can easily spend, all your time in your room just doing schoolwork. That's not the best, use of your time. Getting out there, joining a club, joining a team. I had the benefit of already having joined the soccer team, so I came up here 2 weeks early. So I got to know all of them. They teach you the tricks and the trades, and what to get at the mess deck, what to not get at the mess deck. Focusing on those buff chick wraps, stuff like that. But get involved. Take the first couple weeks to get acclimated to your course study and either change or definitely a change of course load. And then after that, once you get into a group, just find a group of friends, either like a study group to start out with, or join a club right off the bat, or see if you can start your own club with different people. I know earlier in this webinar, someone asked about we didn't have a weightlifting team. Start a weightlifting club, and then you can move your way up to competing against different schools and stuff, but definitely finding something to do, because there's always help around. But sometimes you just need that to get off campus for a minute, go hiking, go for a run, go to practice for that day. But it's the best way to get acclimated to such a small community.
Good answer. Does anybody want to add to it? I know a lot of things have already been mentioned, so you're like, the things in Castine have all been taken off the table.
Yeah, well, for me, every weekend I worked on the boat. I would go sailing almost every weekend, and it was just such a fun time because I didn't really sail when I was growing up. So it was something very unique to do, and like I didn't have to pay anything. I went on a boat, sailed a lot, and I had the time of my life every weekend. And I was on the boat for I slept on the boat, so probably 24 to 36 hours a weekend. There was also the Woodsman's Club. There's so many opportunities here. It's just you figuring out which opportunity you want to do here and then implementing that into your schedule. That's the best way of describing it.
Do you mind if I address a question that was asked just now?
Yeah, absolutely.
I know Elizabeth kind of spoke to it in like a typed answer. But the question was, is it hard to get around without a car? Are you still able to go to hike some places? So as she said in the answer, it is very easy to walk around, although the big hill is a little bit daunting when you first get here. But we do have, as you said, Witherly Woods that you can go over to hike to. Normally, granted with the COVID, everything is a little bit difficult. The RAs and other student workers can offer rides to various places or events. So there have been often events where people will go and hike Blue Hill Mountain or take a trip over to Bangor and things like that that really aren't happening right now. But that's not to say that students don't get together to also do that for people who do have a vehicle. Like I know I don't, so I frequently end up riding with other people if I need to leave Cassine. So while there
And
are
that's a
a
really
good
good-
few options here, there's other outside.
I was going to say that's a really good point. Is so freshmen can't have cars on campus, but you know it's such a small community. Inevitably, you'll run into an upperclassman with a car. And what I've noticed among students, and I should let the students say this, but you guys are pretty close knit. You know, if one of you has a car and you're going somewhere, I notice you tend to be really generous with that. See all these like head shaking.
So another question that just popped up was, what advice would current MMA students give prospective MMA students? So I think that's a good question for a few of us to speak up on.
Well, it's like I said earlier, just find something to get involved, because I had friends my freshman year who did absolutely nothing because they thought, oh, I just got to focus on studying. I just have to focus on studying. And then they were miserable their year because all they did was sit in their room and study, go to the mess deck and eat, and go to classes. So you got to have something to kind of get away from school. Like I totally promote doing school and being good and studying, but you can't study all the time. So find something fun to do. Even if it's just going to the bilge at like 1 a.m. and shooting pool by yourself. Like find something that you like to do to get out. I definitely encourage getting involved in something.
That's really good advice. Especially if you get involved in something, you will find other like-minded individuals. Because college can be a scary transition and it can be a lonely place at first, but everybody feels that way.
No, I would definitely agree. Emily's mentioned it, Keith's mentioned it, Elizabeth's mentioned it now. Get involved. It's the best thing that you can do. Keith said it, there's a bunch of my friends that they stayed in their rooms, and some of them studied, some of them did not. So that's what you make of it. But college is an overall experience. Yes, you're here to get a degree in the end, but you're also here, like, these are some of your friends that you're going to have for the rest of your life, possibly. So figure out who they are, get to know them. Since I don't live in Maine, I've met a lot of people that are from Maine, and now on the weekends I go back to their house, and there's a few families that they've kind of like taken me in, and I'm their adopted son now. So get involved, meet people. You'll be very surprised at how many people will take you in and just make you one of their own.
Yeah, another piece of advice: never be afraid to ask for help. Be it with regards to academics, kind of working your way through the regimens in your first year, or just even general finding things to do in Castine, because the people who have been here for a while, they know a good bit of like, here's a tip to help you make your better, here's an example quiz that this particular professor gave so that you can kind of get an idea of their writing style, or literally anything. And most of the people on campus are more than happy to answer any questions that you may have, and if they don't know quite a few times, they'll know who to point you to. So like if there's a question about the regiment that I didn't particularly know, I'd point you towards George, or academics towards Bowie House, and they can direct you from there.
Nice. I was going to ask you all one more question, unless you would like to go ahead and finish up on some good advice. I saw Emily just clicked on.
Yeah, there was a question in the chat that's come up a couple of times. I know Dean answered in the chat, but it was, what are the marine bio labs like? So since we've got 2 bio students, I don't know if Jennifer, are you a bio student as well? So
Yeah.
3 bio students. So, you know, what a better opportunity to have these 3 guys just talk about how the labs are. So we can share it with the rest of them.
I can start for that. So for first years within marine biology, you'll have an intro to marine science lab, a chemistry lab, and a bio lab. Personally, intro to marine science lab was my favorite because we got to go, I know it was answered already, there's the RV Friendship boat, and my favorite lab for that was we did a day cruise under the Penobscot Bridge, which is between Verona, I should know this, I'm local, but it's near Bucksport, Verona area, and it's this nice big bridge, and you go right under it, and you are sampling water, testing for salinity. It's a nice, relatively basic lab that kind of introduces you to the concepts of the course and what you could be doing in future labs.
So the next question I was going to ask was, what have you guys all been up to in your summers since being at Maine Maritime Academy? And I know some of you are a little bit newer in your Maine Maritime Academy career, but you know, what opportunities, what co-ops, what cadet shipping, what internships, anything you can speak to, that's, you know, cool.
Well, I just came back from my second co-op. So as a power engineering major, rather than shipping out on the ship, you go and work in a power plant or a paper mill or something like that that generates steam, and so you can get your steam hours. And I went and worked in a paper mill down in North Carolina this summer. Actually, I'm wearing one of the shirts they gave me for Evergreen Packaging. And it's a great experience because you learn a lot while you're in school, but you learn 10 times as much when you're actually in the field working in the career that you're going to be doing. So co-ops are awesome, and just another way to get out of your like little home area and like branch out. Like I was in J-Maine last summer for my co-op, work as an operator, and then this summer I worked in North Carolina at a totally different place, working as a process engineer. So you get to get a lot of experience. That's pretty much what I've done in my summers, other than work other odd jobs.
Nice. Anybody else?
I'll talk about mine again. So freshman year, since I'm a marine transportation student, freshman year you do 74 days on the state of Maine, and then your sophomore summer you go cadet shipping. I cadet shipped on a 1,000-foot crude oil carrier based out of Alaska, and then this past summer, what I was supposed to do was supposed to go back out on the state of Maine. But we'll see if that happens in the spring. But I worked a lot of hours. I did 94 days cadet shipping. So I left May 6th and got back August 9th. So that was a long time away from home, 4 hours difference from the East Coast. At some portions when I was up in Alaska it was. So getting used to different time zones. I had a friend that was over in Japan and a long way away. So he spent more time in the port than actually on the ship just because they weren't under contract. So it totally depends on what's going on. But definitely is, I mean, sky's the limit. You can work on drilling ships. You can work on oil tankers, chemical tankers. You can work on bulk carrying ships, so like salts and sand and gravels and rocks and stuff. Anything that really is out there, containers even. That's kind of more of the big ships, the transportation side of things.
Nice. Anybody else wanted to speak to their summer activities, experiences?
Emily, talk about the Bowdoin.
Yeah, so I was just about to mention that. So I've done 3 co-ops so far. My freshman year, and all of them were super different and very interesting. So my freshman year, I went on the school's boat, which is the Schooner Bowdoin. So it's this, I believe it's actually the state historic vessel of Maine, if I remember that correctly. It's a schooner, and it used to do Arctic voyages. And so we took her up to Lunenburg in Nova Scotia, and some of the charts that we were looking at were actually first charted and only charted by Macmillan, who was the main guy on the Bowdoin. So you're kind of going up there on this old boat. I think she turns 100 next year. So 2021, she turns 100 years old. But you're going up, and these charts are charted by the boat that you're sailing on. So that's really cool. And, you know, I went on with no sail experience, and, you know, we end the trip with every student takes one watch basically, and runs their watch. So you get to command the sails to come up, command the sails to come down. You're charting your course. So it was really, really interesting, especially for my first year, having no like real experience as a watch officer or as a deckhand. So that was really cool. And my second year, I moved into a more motorized, well, it was completely motorized vessel. I was up in Alaska doing the Wild Salmon Run in Bristol Bay. That was very interesting, very high paced, just super always going, because fishing never stops. So that was a unique perspective. You know, you're always doing something. So we would take the fish from the fishermen, put them in our fish holds, transport them over to our processing plant or a processor ship, which is always very interesting. So you're always tying up a different way. I also, towards the end of it, actually about halfway through, I was given the command to run my entire deck with a deckhand beneath me for offloads and onloads. So not only were we offloading fish, but we often took on provisions. We would sell groceries and water and showers and laundry to the fishermen out there so that they wouldn't have to stop fishing. So we did a lot of that, and that was a lot of fun. And this year, similar, I was also working with salmon again, but I was working with farm salmon on an aquaculture support vessel. So we did a bunch of different things, and this one was more, actually we had more MMA current students and alumni on there than not. It was pretty funny. It's basically a MMA sponsored vessel because there are so many of us on there. But we had this giant cleaning system on the back. We basically cleaned lice off of fish, which is about as glorious as it sounds. Very clean and smells like roses. So we would tie up to the pens, you know, we're taking fish on, putting fish off. You got to kind of see a more stability aspect of it too, which was really neat because I've already taken stability, so I kind of understand that. You know, we couldn't put too many fish in through the slide because there was too much weight up top. So it was kind of an interesting one, and the captain actually gave me more responsibilities of a junior mate since I already have my 200-ton mate's license. So that was a really cool experience for me, just being able to kind of not work on my mate's license because I was missing one thing off of it. The vessel worked in Canadian waters as well, so I needed a 500 international tonnage, which I didn't have. So unfortunately, I wasn't able to get mate's time on it. But kind of being in charge of people, because being a deckhand is very different from being a mate. So I got to see this year as my final co-op, which was really nice to kind of see that difference there. But 3 pretty different experiences, different crews. You kind of get to see, you know, some types of vessels like tall ships are very watch oriented. the vessel in Alaska, they had one person on watch. The vessel this summer, you know, there's 2-3 people, and we rotated a lot through the engine room as well, which is a big reason of why I chose VOT, because smaller vessels often, you're part of the deck and the engine, even if you're not specifically designated engine. So that was really cool, and hopefully I find something like that to go on to after this.
Nice. Thank you all so much.